Here in Matthew 7:13 and 14, Jesus is talking about the wide and narrow gates and presenting the two paths that we all have to choose from.
So here they are in verse 13. Enter you in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leads to destruction, and many there be that go in thereat. And in verse 14, because strait is the gate and narrow is the way that leads to life, and few there be that find it.
Now, the wide gate is easy but very deceptive because of lawlessness. That means that you're deciding what you think is right and wrong and what you want to do. It always leads to ruin. Adam and Eve chose this path in the garden, and it leads to bondage of sin and death. Now, the narrow gate leads to life, is restricted compared to the world. It requires perseverance through trials. And Jesus showed us this path. He showed us the way within his life. And this leads to true freedom.
Yes, I think although we don't have the time and we don't necessarily want to get into all of the details here, but wide is the gate. And notice that there are many on this path, and that on the narrow way, there are few. So basically, what it says, there's a majority and there's a minority. Since we're talking about the Bible, we're talking about God, we have to ask a very simple question here with regard to religion. Where is the majority and where is the minority? Because there's a majority of people who are into the Bible, let's say, but are they into the Bible the right way? Where is this minority that's on the narrow path, the correct, let's say, understanding? Because not everybody who is on the Bible path is on the narrow path. There are a lot of people on the Bible path that are on the wide path, and that leads to destruction. And this is where the discernment that Katrina was talking about, and that this Sermon on the Mount is talking about. That's where the discernment comes in. That's where the seeking comes in, because we have to seek that narrow path that Christ has set before us.
Yes, and that's true, Sam, that there's a lot of people on that wide path, especially within religion. And when you're using that discernment and that's guided with the Spirit, you can really see the differences, and that's what helps. And those differences are pretty eye-opening, especially when it comes to the fruits that are produced. The fruits that you're looking for are things on the inside.
Right, absolutely. Remember that this narrow gate and this narrow path, that's the spiritual path. The wide is looking at physical.
So now we're at Matthew in 7:15 through 20, talking about the false prophets, evil and the good fruit. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Yet shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? So even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hence down and cast into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits ye shall know them.
That's right.
Uncover the mystery of Adam and Eve's nakedness. Unravel the ambiguous connection between the Hebrew term for naked and the serpent's subtlety. Join us for this free mini-course and gain a profound new perspective on biblical Hebrew. TheExplanation.com/naked